Hey, hi, how are you? Thanks for tuning in here to this um, sort of tutorial, and we're just gonna wing it. So I'm not gonna be doing any editing of this audio. Kind of my first attempt at this voiceover um, attempt here. Okay, I'm just realizing that my video is not synced up here with my words. So I'm going to start this over. Not the recording. Again, we're doing this one take. And, also excuse the room. The room is not sound treated or anything like that. I'm just chilling in my sunroom that is now my bedroom because uh, my pregnant partner she can't sleep with my horrible, awful snoring. So I'm sleeping in this room now. This sunroom that we've made my office slash um, uh, apartment here in my own house. Yeah. So, anyways, to this sculpture. So today we're working with Polymer, um, and Polymer, as you know, you bake it, it becomes firm. But before you bake it, you're able to pretty much sculpt it like clay. So today we're working on Hornet from the game Hollow Knight. Um, and yeah, excuse all my ums and my likes and my uhs and yeah, we're winging it here. And first attempt at kind of my voiceover practice for this video. So bear with me, and also bear with my sculpting off camera here um, as we take a final look at the head that we've made for Hornet, and her eyes looking pretty good. Shape of the head, top. This was really easy to do with the polymer, um, but the video game Hollow Knight is not easy. In fact, it's very difficult. You have a lot of people comparing it to the game Dark Souls, which is infamously difficult to play. And now we're just switching it up. I went to the store and I got some more black polymer. And I gotta say, this particular brand that I got is very firm. I had to work it a lot to get it to soften up enough to work into sculpture. And I have always this rag handy to wash my hands off in between colors because a lot of the times the colors they'll stick to your hands and they'll bleed onto the next color that you start working with. Um, so yeah, jumping forward, I began working on the body part, um, the torso and the legs, and tried wrapping it with the red color for the cloak that she's wearing, and the it just didn't work out. So I decided to completely mold the cloak out of just the one color, and then just sticking the legs on the bottom here. Um, so yeah, back to the game. The game Hollow Knight is extremely infuriating. It's just one of those games that kind of makes you cuss and yell and scream at the wall. Um, my poor dogs, they were terrified of me for like the 2 weeks that it took me. The 2 weeks that I was playing it, my dogs would be running away, running around the house, scared of me because I'm screaming profanities in my room, which is my my room away from my room now with my pregnant girlfriend. Okay, so anyways, back to this sculpture. So I formed this, worked on it, molded it, and realized that it's too small and the proportions were off. Um, so I just decided to scrap that, um, squash it, grab some more clay, and work on this form and make it a little bit bigger, to match the proportions of the original design as best as I can. I mean, it's not perfect. But the game Hollow Knight is just, it's so involved and it just draws you in, and even though it's one of the most difficult games I've ever played, I found myself obsessing over the next difficult boss to get past, and every single boss you know has its own challenges and their own pattern that you kind of have to learn, and that's kind of the trick of the game, is just learning the patterns of the bosses and dodging their attacks and getting your attacks in while you can. Um, so the red that I had, from the polymer, and the color, the red color that I'm using on this is actually from the Sculpey brand, of polymer clay, and the Sculpey brand stuff is super soft and super easy to work with. Um, but like I said, I have the package here, the Craft Smart, um, and it says on there the premium polymer. I'm curious if the regular quality polymer clay they had would be softer, but this stuff was just, kind of tough. But the Sculpey brand, polymer clay, um, in my opinion, is a lot easier to work with. So you all have seen this already. Is me working on the collar, um, the collar of the cloak here, and cutting that a little bit shorter, and then molding it uh, to the cloak itself. And this wood tool that I'm using right now, that looks pretty much like I would call it like a wooden knife, has turned into my favorite sculpting tool, um, from the cheapest tool set that I can find at Michael's, which is where I'm currently purchasing all of my polymer clay utensils and supplies. Um, so now, we're working on the needle, which is the character's, sword, and I had to mix in some white with the gray for, kind of like a lighter, polished, steel look. It doesn't look like polished steel, but just that kind of matches the color of it. Um, Polished steel is just like a lighter gray. The the midtones of that. But when I made this needle, I didn't look at any references, and I wish that I did, because it actually kind of looks a little bit different from, what the actual original design is. So that's why it's always good to use a reference, um, when you're sculpting, unless you're coming with original ideas. If you're sculpting something that's already been created, using references and photos and Google images and Google searches um, to search for references always helps. Even if you're just using just a part of a picture, or you're using a particular pose in a picture that you like, um, but you're using it for a different character. There's lots of ways to use references. I even sometimes take pictures of my own hands um, in the positions that I want to draw them in or sculpt in. Um, so yeah, it looks like we're about ready to bake. I'm just molding up some white Sculpey for the base, and then use my coffee mug to kind of squish it down and make it flat. And then this project is ready for the oven. And yeah, boom, there it is. We have all of our pieces fresh out of the oven. I do 275 degrees Fahrenheit for exactly 15 minutes. And then yeah, the pieces come out nice and firm. I really like the way the head turned out here. I had just still some difficulty with keeping the clay absolutely pure white. There's just like there's just dust everywhere, and there's little hairs, and actually the little tiny fibers from the towel that I was using got on the head a lot. So when you look at it real close, you can see like tiny little fibers, and you can't really see it on the camera. Excuse me. You can't really see it on the camera, but up close and personal, you can kind of see some of those fibers got worked in after I wiped my hands off. So the needle turned out pretty decent. It kind of warped a little bit there on the handle because when you just put something on a flat surface like that, the soft clay just tends to kind of droop down to the easiest place for it to rest. So anyway, onto the super glue. I got two different types of super glue to try. I got the lighter, more quick drying regular super glue, and also the super glue that is gel form. Um, I think that they both have their own benefits, and I think they both have their own applications. The regular super glue obviously is good for quick drying. If you want something to set quickly, I would use the regular super glue. Like I use the regular super glue for the head part right here, but I ended up using the gel for gluing on the legs because the legs and the surface that I was gluing it onto, the actual surface area that is making contact is very small. So you need some type of gel to fill in those spaces that the sculpture is not touching the other, the two surfaces aren't touching perfectly. So the gel kind of helps to fill those spaces in. But also the gel has drawbacks, and you can see right here, I squeeze, you squeeze, for some reason, these bottles, you squeeze on them and you let go, and they continue to ooze out super glue gel. So I've oozed out some super glue gel on the nail and had to mess with that for some time to get most of the super glue off of, my sculpture that I spent 2.5 hours on, only to get super glue on it at the end. So that's how it goes. Um, yeah, so the gel is good for situations like that. Um, and now when I was gluing the base again, I thought, maybe I need to go for the gel to glue the legs, to fill in, because the legs are just have tiny points of contact. The points of contact are not very big at all. Um, but you'll find when you work with the super glue and the polymer that the polymer sometimes, like, it kind of reacts to the super glue in that it kind of melts, and like it it welds like the two pieces together almost. Um, so the gel didn't really work out. It just sometimes it takes too long to dry, if you apply a bunch of it. So I think I applied too much here, and I'm just waiting for it to dry, and it's not wanting to stay standing up. So then I try mixing the regular super glue with the regular super glue with the gel glue, and that didn't work either. It just ended up turning it all into a weird, um, gooey, um, protrusion from the nice, neat platform that I had made for the sculpture. So I just ended up scraping it all off, and going, just using the regular. Dook, there it does. There it goes. Takes a spill. I ended up just using the regular. Excuse me while I scratch my arm. I just ended up using the regular super glue in the end, and yeah, I think it worked out. Um, I really like the way this project turned out, and I just thought I'd share it with y'all. I've seen a few um, polymer clay channels on YouTube, and there's a lot of really talented people out there. So I thought I could throw my hat into the ring and show some of you nice folks what I've been working on past few weeks. And here it is, the finished project, finished product, project. Yeah, um, turned out pretty cool, I think. And we're gonna wrap this up. Probably have a few pictures at the end here. Um, a couple pictures I put with the other sculpture I made of the protagonist of the game, the main character. So again, thanks for tuning in, and hope to see you all on the next video.